Today we have another video of Deb Haaland, the Secretary of the Interior. This is just another example of how she might be the most incompetent secretary in a sea of incompetent secretaries at the Biden administration. Haaland is being questioned by Representative John Curtis of Utah. Starts off by asking her about a rule and listening sessions, and then he gets into specific language within the rule. The term in question is sustainable recreation, and apparently Deb Haaland has no idea how to define it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Secretary. I can't help but be here with you and think about, with fond memories, serving together with you here in Congress. Thank you for your work and thank you for being here. Now, that said, you know that I'm going to bring up a sore subject in Utah. The BLM landscape and conservation rule has once again irritated the wound that makes Utahns feel like they're neglected and that people here in Washington have it out for them, adding further divide to something that's already divided. And let me be clear, I believe Utah's farmers and ranchers have cared for this land for generations and generations. They want to leave it better than they found it and have done a fantastic job at that. Yet this takes just another poke at them. And these are the people who are most impacted by your rule. I know there have been some comments today about the impressive groups of letters that have flooded the messages that they want to support this. And I feel like it's a little bit like bragging about the Valentine's cards you got when you ask people to send them to you. More importantly, 1 million artificial messages aren't worth one comment from somebody who actually lives on this land. I wrote you a letter last year asking to have a listening session in Utah before this rule was implemented. Let me remind everybody, I know I say this a lot, I just don't think it sinks in. Utah is 66% owned by the federal government. The rural parts of my district are over 90% federally owned. I think everybody needs to think about what it would be like to run a community when 90% of the property is managed by somebody 2,000 miles away. You didn't respond to this request. We got no listening sessions in Utah. Can you tell me why you weren't willing to do that?
Congressman, I will say with respect to the public lands rule that it was a very transparent process where whoever wanted to comment publicly was able to do so. And I feel very confident that the staff that we have in Utah is very close with the local community there. We saw that when I visited your state on several occasions. And I feel confident that those local communities have complete access to the BLM staff.
Let me agree with you. We do love your BLM staff on the ground. They're good people. They integrate into the community, and so they understand the community needs. And that is the problem with people from Washington who don't understand those community needs, and that's where the pushback comes from. Let me go to a term in the rule that says sustainable recreation. The agency uses the term sustainable recreation multiple times, but never defines it. Can you define what is sustainable recreation?
It's my understanding, and please don't quote me on this, even though I'm on the record. Sustainable recreation to me says that we want these outdoor recreation industry to continue to be able to use these areas for recreation.
But that implies there's a non-sustainable recreation. Can you tell me the difference between sustainable and non-sustainable recreation?
I can't at the moment, but I'd be happy to answer that for the record.
Yeah, we would love to know that. I mean, people on the ground are wondering, what does sustainable recreation mean? Let me also then go to the rule is not intended to prevent or decrease recreation, and that word intend is very bothersome to me. How do we know how to get that gets interpreted? And then let me just a little bit more. One paragraph lower, you say the BLM clarified mitigation language that would allow for renewable energy and development or other kinds of projects, even when that development produces unavoidable impacts. That isn't multiple use. That sounds like a hierarchy to me. The rule literally says renewable supersedes conservation as a use, and conservation can supersede recreation. Help me understand that language.
Congressman, with your permission, I would like to pass to Acting Deputy Secretary Daniel Davis to answer that question.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Congressman, thank you for the question. And I think I would not agree with your characterization and reading, and I'm not saying you have it wrong. I'm saying that the intent is not to suggest that. I think the BLM in that instance was trying to provide examples to be more clear that the public lands rule and what is set forth provides a process to assure balance.
We're going to run out of time, but let me read this again. Renewable energy development or other kinds of projects, even when that development produces unavoidable impacts. Why does it say renewable and nothing else?
I think they were seeking to provide an example, and it's not meant to suggest that other multiple uses are not situated in the same manner.
So what is the purpose of the rule if the projects supersede conservation?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear the question.
I guess we're out of time, but I just want to make the point, there is no purpose for the rule if projects that want to be done supersede the rule, which is how I'm reading this language.
I'm sorry, I really don't understand the question. I do want to reaffirm that the rule is meant to assure that multiple use in practice can continue through the decades and through generations.
I am out of time. I'll yield. I'll just simply say it says renewable energy will supersede. So that's not clear to me.
And this is nothing new for Haaland. Here she is being asked about cobalt and the dependence on China when it comes to electric vehicles.
Electric vehicles and renewables are heavily dependent on critical minerals, correct?
Yes.
China accounts for 63% of the world's rare earth mining, correct?
I don't know that particular.
Will you stipulate that China is the majority of rare earth elements, or they control the mining of rare earth elements to a great majority?
I don't know what the percentage of what China produces.
All right, well, I'm telling you right now, it's
you can tell me
63%
that
of rare earth mining will stipulate to it. Okay. By deductive reasoning, that would mean that electric vehicles and renewables deepen our reliance on China, correct?
Yes. Okay.
Knowing this, your department blocked critical minerals in Rapid Creek watershed, correct?
Okay.
They did, correct?
Okay.
I mean, it's your department, and you banned critical mineral mining. Okay, would you also agree that your department also banned it in northeast Minnesota?
Are you talking about the boundary
critical mineral
waters?
mining in northeast Minnesota?
Well, we did a mineral withdrawal in the boundary waters conservation
you
area.
banned it there.
I don't know what kind of minerals were there. I don't think they were critical minerals, though.
Okay, I can tell you there were critical minerals in northeast Minnesota.
Okay.
I get instructions from my wife